I forgot.
Yeah, that's Mike, she's born right. All right. Gonna call the Finance Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have items 2A and 2B. Can I have a motion to, well, what do you want us to consolidate those?
Yeah, you don't need a motion to consolidate.
Does anybody have any objection if we consolidate the two, A and B? All right. First item on the agenda is 2A, approval of minutes, August 17, 2023, special meeting, and September 6, 2023, regular meeting. And item 2B, recommend approval of bills and transfers, if any, to the county board. We'll start out. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes? Okay, I have bills here.
Yeah.
Bills here in the amount of $543,524.57. In addition, I have a letter here from our county auditor saying that she's reviewed the bills and they are in compliance with all the McLean County Board adopted ordinance resolutions and policies. Can I have a motion to approve 2A and 2B? A motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Rogal. Any comments or questions about anything? Guess I needed to get that on the agenda, right, first, where we could take. Gotta get the approval, right, before you get to ask questions. Forget, I'm just talking. All right, I'm just.
We're not paying any attention.
I'm not paying any attention. We never pay any attention to you anyway. All right, we're gonna be voting on items 2A and 2B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is appearance by members of the public and county employees. Do we have any?
We've had no requests tonight.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4A, Kathy Michael, County Clerk. We have no items for action, but we do have the county clerk's monthly reports.
She could see either beside you here or over there. You need
Right there.
I don't have any comments, but obviously, have any questions?
Yeah, does any member have any questions of our county clerk regarding her monthly reports? Do you have anything you'd like to say about them or anything?
I do not. Thank you for asking.
All right, well, thank you then. All right, yeah, you can, thank you. Next item on the agenda, we don't have anything for Tim Jorzak. I need to have him come up unless he wants to.
No, unless you would like to speak, he is here.
Anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer for you.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C, Becky McNeil, County Treasurer. All right, first item on the agenda is item 4C1A. Request approval of resolutions authorizing the county board chair to execute deeds of conveyance. Can I have a motion to approve? A motion by member Rogal, second by member Soldner. Ms. McNeil, would you like to discuss?
This is the delinquent tax program. These are parcels that the property owners did not pay the property taxes. They went through the delinquent tax program, the trustee acquired deed. The property owners have had numerous opportunities to redeem even after the expiration of the redemption period, and they have not done so. The parcels were offered at the auction, the annual delinquent auction, and these four were offers were received on these four. So,
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we're voting on item 4C1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C1B, request approval of resolutions authorizing the county board chair to surrender mobile home tax sale certificates of purchase. Can I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by member Soldner, second by member Roseman Mendoza. Ms. McNeil, would you like to discuss that?
yes, the same process occurred with these parcels, except the difference is the property owner decided to redeem and pay the taxes after the expiration of the redemption period. So that's why we wanna surrender the tax sale certificate. We want to give them the opportunity to keep their property.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll be voting on item 4C1B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C1C, request approval of a reclassification of accounts payable specialist positions. And can I have a motion to approve? Have a motion by member Roseman Mendoza and a second by member Rogal. Ms. McNeil, would you like to discuss?
I think that my memo explains in detail the situation. Again, I want to emphasize that there are sufficient funds in our 2023 budget. For the last 2 months of the year, the impact is about $1,200. So, do you have any questions for me?
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4C1C. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4C1D, accept and place on file the county treasurer's monthly financial reports. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Rogal, a second by member Roseman Mendoza. Ms. McNeil, would you like to discuss? I assume all the members have it by now, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you. So the first category is retail occupation tax. Bottom line is that our September receipts are higher than our September 22 receipts. The best news here is that we've already reached budget. The budget for these revenue sources was $13,349,000. As of the month of September, we've received $13,685,000. So we've got 3 months, and you can see how much this is per month that we're going to be collecting in excess of what was originally budgeted. It's good for our financial position because I'm sure there's other areas where we're not performing at budget. So. Then moving on down into the shared sales tax, through the month of September, Town of Normal, 1.5 million, City of Bloomington, 2.2, total 3.8. We're just slightly above where we were last year. And the fund equity in that shared sales tax fund is $17,495,000. The next category is property tax revenue. We are currently through the majority of the tax cycle. We distributed our 6th distribution September 26th. And so as of right now, the county has received $39.2 million out of the $40.6 million levied and 96.62%. We're going to be going to tax sale in early November, and then we'll finish up with the final distribution at the end of November. So that's just where we're at right now with the county levy. Then the final category is the county motor fuel tax. And this is actually for 8 months of the year because of how we work with our accrual, the revenue for county motor fuel, which includes the regular county motor fuel and the renewal, 2.5 million. Out of that $4.2 million budget, we're about 61% received. Looking at township, we've got a total of $2,141,000 collected. That's a non-budgeted fund. In both of those revenue sources, we are still running ahead of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, if any member has it, go ahead and just ask.
Yeah, well, can we go back to the first report? The local use tax is 35% lower. Do you any idea why or?
No, that was communicated to us from Illinois Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Through their recalculation of formulas and final returns. We were told that some of these tax sources were going to come in lower. Local use seems to be the case across the board. All counties are saying the same thing. They're seeing lower local use.
And since I'm new to this committee, no PPRT.
No PPRT for the month of September. PPRT is only received about 8 months out of the year.
Okay,
So,
alright, thanks.
And then the next report is the investment report. So happy to see some of these interest rates that are in the 2% getting ready to fall off. We purchased some treasuries earlier this week, and we were at 5.36, 5.4, and some stuff up there. So treasuries are still very attractive. Short term, that gives us the ability to invest, but at the same time, we've got flexibility, liquidity, and so forth. So Illinois funds is also off the chart, 5.47. That's a very attractive rate, especially for a lot of our ARPA money that has to be spent within the next year to 2 years. So we're utilizing our money markets right now, and that's where we're at. So overall, and right now, I mean, keep in mind, we've got the bulk of our property tax levy in these balances. So our balances are very high. At the end of September, we had 129 million. But for example, like next week, we're going to push out probably no less than 7 million in 1 week because we've got PVC payments and we've got payroll. So we do move things very quickly. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I really appreciate it when you do. When you come into the office and just sit down and just get a general idea of what our office does and what our concerns are and so forth. So please feel free to reach out to me anytime. Oh, then the final report. I'm sorry.
I thought you were gonna go. I was like, what? Guess she's ready to go. I mean, I thought there was more here.
We got a budget to get to. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I apologize. Employee benefit fund. This next report is just the summary of our self-insured plan, showing you the claims that have hit against our self-insured plan. As you can see, when you look at these numbers, 2023 compared to 2022, 2023 is only about $19,000 higher. But the reality is that Blue Cross Blue Shield gave the county credit at the beginning of 2023 of about $200,000. So if without that credit, we would be running about $220,000 ahead of our 2022 expenses. The stop loss adjustment, that's the category, column there in orange, number 8. That stop loss adjustment, that's our insurance policy, basically. That right there, our insurance policy, the stop loss fee, we've paid $860,000 in stop loss fees. We paid a premium basically each month. It's like an insurance premium to guard the county against significant losses. And you can see there in column 8, that represents the credits that were credited back to us as a result of having that stop loss in place. So our expenses would be $396,000 higher without the stop loss. And then the final report you have, there's no questions on that one, would be the summary on the nursing home. And for the month of August, the nursing home reported major revenue sources, public aid, private pay, CMS, totaling $894,000. The expenses for the month of August were $1,043,000, and revenue was $1,043,000. The expenses were $934,000. The year-to-date accumulated revenue And this includes additional revenue, not just the Medicaid, the private pay, the CMS. The nursing home does have other revenue sources. For example, their IGT or their quality care payments, and also some of the COVID funds. But anyway, the total accrued revenue, $7,426,000. Total accrued expenses, $7,669,000. Currently expenses are exceeding revenues. The receivable at the end of August was $4.1 million. Pretty much in line with where we started at the beginning of the year, so there hasn't been a lot of change there. The cash and investments at the end of August, cash negative $1,361,000. The cash, we're essentially borrowing from the general fund to make their payments. The fund equity at the end of August, $1,107,544. Fund equity is down by $243,000 compared to the beginning of the year, and this is just what's accrued as through the date of August 31st.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none. This is actually a motion to accept and place on file the report. So we're voting on item 4C1D. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is other information. Anything you want to add or say?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is item 4D, Marshall Thompson. Come on down. You're the next contestant.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right, we have no items for action, but we do have the director's monthly report. Anything you'd like to say about it?
I think it's right with where we generally are with our numbers, so things are going really well and animals are being transferred and we're working at, I think we're about 50% done with repairs of our current facility, so we appreciate maintenance, hard work on that. And again, want to send a shout out to staff on all their hard work and keeping all the animals healthy and safe and well cared for.
Does any member have any questions about the monthly report? All right, seeing none, anything else you'd like to add?
Just want to thank everyone for their continued support and looking forward to adopting more animals.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is item 4E, Michelle Anderson, County Auditor. County Auditor did send out a memo that was attached to our packet. This is correct, right, Cassie? September 25th, 2023. Last night, we almost went into talking about it. We don't want to mention names, right?
No.
So if anybody wants to start asking questions, we'll have to go into closed session. But the first thing I'll do is I'll get it out on the floor and then we'll see where we end up, okay? Item 4E1A, request under section 108-43F 2B3 of the McLean County Code to authorize the county auditor to offer a salary above that identified in section 108-43F 2B3. And can I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by member Rogal. Do I have a second by anybody? A second by member Roseman Mendoza. Depending on the question, does anybody have any questions? We need to go, or should we wait to hear the question?
Yeah.
Do we need to go in closed session? Okay. All right, I need to read all this, right? I need to go through.
You'll need to read that and then he'll need to make a motion to go into closed session.
Okay. Closed session, if necessary, pursuant to section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 120/2 (C)(1) to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. That's easy for you to say. Now a motion to go into closed session. Motion by member Soldner and a second by member Roseman Mendoza. So I guess we gotta clear the room. Alright, we are out of closed session. We still have before us item 4E1A. I need to get a motion for that on.
You have one?
I have one, okay. We are voting then on item 4E1A unless there's any further. Okay, we're voting on item 4E1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, that is passed. Next item on the agenda is an item for information, commissary audit. Ms. Anderson, anything you want to say about that?
This is something we've done the last 3 or 4 years. The state used to come in and do their own. DOC sent an individual in to do it. 3 or 4 years ago, they decided they could save the salary of that person and shove it to the county to do. So luckily, the Department of Corrections accepts my independence from the sheriff, independence from any oversight, and lets me do this, so we save the county a good amount of money not having to send that out. And basically, it just says that the sheriff's department or the correctional side of that is within compliance of all DOC regulations regarding commissary.
Any questions? Alright, seeing none, other, anything you'd like to say or add here?
No, sir. I'll see you all back in a minute. Thank you.
Alright, thank you. Alright, next item on the agenda is item 4F, Cassie Taylor. I should say that member Val Lehman did leave some questions, which County Administrator Taylor is going to mention as she goes through this presentation on these budget items and answer those questions. Is that correct? Is that the way to
Yes.
say it? All right.
Yes.
First item on the agenda is item 4F1A, request approval of a resolution establishing health and life insurance coverage for fiscal year 2024. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Rogal. Can I have a second? Second by member Roseman Mendoza, County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you. You have a memo on page 35 that explains our recommendation for our Blue Cross Blue Shield relationship for employees' health insurance for fiscal year 2024. There was a significant increase to our insurance plan this year. It was 19.5%. However, we are recommending only a 3% increase to our employees. And that is for a number of reasons, a variety of reasons, but mainly to remain flexible and competitive in the market. And so you have on page 36 and 37 what those rates will be. They're slightly different between our active employees and COBRA relationships, but that is my request for approval.
Does any member have any questions? Member Rogal.
I also got questions from Member Lyman.
Okay.
Did not appear to
Were they
have-
coordinated?
Did not appear to have answered at least the one that she had sent me, so. Does the coverage include coverage of gender affirming healthcare, particularly in the way of prescription coverage for hormone therapy and puberty blockers?
So the coverage does include gender affirming procedures and the accompanying related services. We looked up what related services meant, if that meant all the coverage for medications and hormone therapies, and we're still searching for that answer. But our coverage does cover the surgeries themselves.
Does any member have any other questions? All right, we're voting on item 4F1A. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4F1B, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the general fund 0001, county auditor department 0003, auditing and financial management program 0003. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Rogal, County Administrator Taylor.
Yes, so as we've conducted in other committees, I will have a short PowerPoint presentation to cover some big picture. And then if you have any questions for the auditor or myself, we are happy to answer. So the auditor, their budget for 2024, just a brief explanation, the establishment of the county auditor under the Illinois statutes is an important way to ensure accountability to the people of the county. The county auditor is the only officer responsible for examining how all of the other departments are operating fiscally. So the auditor's budget, you can see there in the pie chart that 95% of her budget is for salaries, and then very small slivers, 2% and 3% for supplies and services. Overall, this budget increased by 4%. In office supplies, there was a slight increase, and in schooling and conferences, a very slight increase. And then it also decreased in expense lines for books at 36% and travel for 38%. It's a very small budget.
Warming you up.
Any questions, I guess, any questions or comments? Any questions from member Lehman?
Not for this one.
Not-
Not for
Oh, wait.
this, nope, not for this one.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Jumped ahead of myself here. So the salary increase for the elected officials, that the kind of
That was in the treasurer's
budget?
budget.
That's it.
All right, any other questions? All right, we are voting on item 4F1B. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4F1C. Can we combine C1 and C2?
We can.
Okay, anybody have any objection? All right. 4F1C, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget. The county treasurer department 0004, including C1, general fund 0001, financial management program 0004, and C2, collector automation fund 0168, financial management program 0004. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Soldner, County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. The Treasurer's Office oversees cash management, investments, revenue accounting, payroll accounting, and accounts payable for the county. The County Treasurer is also responsible for overseeing the collection and distribution of over $395 million to nearly 200 taxing bodies. So overall, revenues increased by 36% in this office. Revenue from interest on investments increased 100% from 2023. I know Ms. McNeil has spoken to that in our monthly reports on how impressive the interest rates are and how they continue to increase. Additionally, interest on certificates of deposit increased 250% in this budget for fiscal year 2024, also a result of the rising interest rates. So you can see there a breakdown in the pie chart of the different sources of revenue. For expenses, the overall budget is 7% more than in 2023. Copy machine expenses increased by 50%. Postage increased, and you'll see postage increases in the majority of our different departments. Advertising increased 30%. That was a big jump because of rising costs of advertising. And they have requested some office furniture, new office furniture, I believe desks, were requested for this year's budget. So 83% of their budget is salaries for the staff that she has for all those duties that I explained in the last slide. 10% for supplies and 7% for services, and then a little tiny sliver, looks like less than 1% for other. We did have one question from Val Lehman about the slight salary increase on the elected official salary. This was not a result of the salary study, this is by ordinance. We set the elected official salaries every 4 years. Hopefully that answered her question.
Any
I don't know.
member have any?
What the answer was, but I don't know what she was looking for, but.
Does any member have any questions? Member Solter?
So I'm looking on, maybe I jumped ahead, but page 47, your accounts payable specialist,
Yes,
you're going
Yeah.
from 0 to 110,835.
and the accounting specialist too, we had
There
5,
you go.
that's going to 3
Right.
because of the reclassification from grade 7 to grade 8.
Perfect.
So yeah, and I want to thank you very much. I felt it was important for me to advocate for that reclassification because it truly does describe the job that the staff are performing.
Does any member have any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1C, C1, and C2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item on the agenda is item 4F1D. Request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended. Am I supposed to go forward on that?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right, everybody's looking at me like, what did I
Part of
do?
it?
No change and they
Okay.
included it, yep.
What did I do?
Nope, you're fine.
All right, all right.
Next check.
All right, 4F1D, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the Veterans Assistance Communication Fund 0136, Veterans Assistance Department 0065, and Veterans Assistance Program 0074. And can I have a motion to approve? I have a motion by member Rogal, a second by member Roseman Mendoza. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. So for veterans assistance, I do beg the indulgence of the committee. I would like to explain all that they do at the VAC. They provide assistance to veterans and their families in obtaining, filing, and completing forms for claims to state and federal agencies such as the U.S. and Illinois Departments of Veterans Affairs, the Social Security Administration, the Department of Public Aid, and others to secure benefits and services to which they are entitled. They provide assistance to veterans and their families in obtaining certified copies of active duty records. They provide veterans and their families with information and linkage to human service resources in the community. And they provide temporary emergency assistance to veterans for rent or mortgage payments, utility payments, transportation to VA medical centers. And I also found out this year that they also have a closet in their office where they have emergency supplies for veterans that I was not aware of until this year. So their overall budget increased by 168%. This was as a result of changes to the Illinois Counties Code and Military Veterans Assistance Act. We have added a Veterans Service Officer due to a state requirement and request by our VAC. And we also have increased Veterans Emergency Assistance by $195,000. This will be budgeted to provide grants to cover assistance by veterans organizations in the county and also to sponsorship any veterans activity events that Jerry and Art believe are necessary and just for our veterans in our community. So we met a couple of times this budget cycle with Art and Jerry to discuss the needs of the VAC and determined that the amount that we have incorporated is just and necessary for assistance to our veterans. That's all I have.
Does member Lehman have any questions or?
Yes.
Anybody speaking on her behalf? Member Rogal.
I think more clarifications, really. So I think she wanted to know, was curious what the purpose of the clothing increase was. I don't know if you
Well, right now, when we go out to do an outreach program or go to a veterans fair, that type of thing, we want to be recognized of who we are. And we purchased some shirts. We also have volunteer drivers that drive the van. We want them to be identified, so we purchase a hat, shirt. In the future, and that's the MVAA is causing this, is we're gonna be able to do a lot more outreach for all kinds of services in the rural part of the county. That's probably the biggest shortcoming of our office is somebody from Chinola has a long ways to come in here for assistance. And by having the clothing allowance as it is, we can make sure that when they go to a community like that, they set up shop, that the whole community knows who they are and who they represent.
Good.
And it's one of those expenses that we do probably every, 3, 4, 5 years.
I think she was just curious what it was.
Yeah.
And then the other one was a slight increase in the non-major equipment line.
Yeah, possibly that's more of a confusion than a request, in that both of our computers and screens are for the office specialist and myself are gonna need to be replaced. We've already been told that, and of course we'll need to probably purchase at least one laptop for the field representative that's gonna be the VSO going out and writing claims out in the rural areas as well as in the office. It'll need to be portable. We'll probably also need a cell phone that is a hotspot, so when they get to way out in the boonies, they'll be able to hook onto the internet without difficulty.
Great, thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Member Solder?
So, I'm looking here, you're budgeting almost $190,000 more in veterans emergency assistance.
Right.
Correct.
And have you got an idea what you're gonna do with that? Is there a plan, or is it just in case,
Yes,
where you have people that need it, you have it available?
Well, fortunately, we also have partners, the laborers
Right.
and other groups out there, LifeSeal and that. But the increase that is mandated by law was 3 cents on the $100. We're budgeting, I believe, at 1.2 or lower. We feel that's gonna be comfortable for what we need to deal with out there because of the partnership we have with other organizations. So what we'll be using that for is, for example, if we come into a flood situation as we did a few years back, we'll be able to react and help out the veterans so it won't function out, or their funds won't be drawn out of another agency. We'll be able to jump in if their furnace is underwater, their air conditioning, whatever. So we'll be able to come in with a little bit more equipment and supplies if needed for that. Also, a few years back, we had, I think it was about 12 families that were homeless, and the Salvation Army at that point, because of COVID, had zero money. So we reached out to some of the veteran organizations for toothbrush, combs, shampoo, soap, things that they didn't have. So we can supplement that also. And then with the food bank we have inside there, we can also supply that.
Okay. Sounds like a good thing.
Yeah, there'll be a couple of different oversights within the emergency assistance account. As Cassie mentioned, for emergency situations, both rent and that sort of thing has been traditional. But like the flooding, roofs that get blown off in the storm, but also for sponsorships. Now, some of the VACs last year, there's only 54 VACs in 102 counties. And that's why MVAA was passed, to make sure that there was veteran service officer representation and assistance for veterans throughout the state. We've never done claims in this office. Some VACs across the state, Peoria for instance, have like 3 VSOs that write claims for service-connected disability and that sort of thing. We haven't had to do that because we've had the luxury of having the IDVA have an office right here at the Armory on South Main. And they've always staffed it for the last 30 years with 2 people. Well, over the last 5 years, they're down to 1, and a lot of times they don't even have 1. And of course, all that money came out of the state budget, not the county budget. With the VSOs coming here, it's likely that even though there's 72 positions charted for the state of Illinois to have IDVA offices across the state, there's only about 65 of them that are filled right now. And the second one that's not filled here, it's questionable whether it will fill that or not. With our VSO, they'll have a choice of being able to get a hold of somebody. All they do at the IDVA office is deal with claims. And we deal with all the other stuff.
Alright.
But it is one of those things where MVA dictated it, and I think it was in some ways a very good dictation, because it allowed the poorer counties, who even if they tax at the maximum amount, don't have enough money in the county to be able to provide really good services. So we're, what do we, Cassie, probably 0.5% up until this year of what the allocation actually was. So we tried to be reasonable with the other assets that are available through other sources, and now it's falling back on us, so.
Just to give you an example, what we did last year as an experiment over at the VFW, we brought up 2 AMVETS VSOs, and WJBC supported us on this program, we did a broadcast. We had 22 come in one day to file claims. And then I asked these VSOs, how many claims do you do a month statewide? They said about 22. So we're not reaching out to where we should be, particularly in rural areas, and I think this budget's just a very modest budget to get us there, and I think it will open up a lot of doors that we need to open up also.
Any member have any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1D. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you, Mark.
Next item on the agenda is item 4F1E, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the Historical Museum Fund 0134, Historical Museum Department 0072, Historical Museum Maintenance Program 0072, and can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Rogel. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman Erickson. The museum revenue is generated through our general property tax. It is the only county source of revenue for this program. We budgeted the tax levy at $61,766, consistent with FY 2023. The expenses that are distributed to the Historical Museum of the property tax funds levied for property tax assessment year 2023 and then collected in 2024 will be no change from last year.
Okay, remember have any questions? Member Soldner.
So we call the expense just museum maintenance. It's just a matter, we just send them a check for $61,000 and they do whatever they want with it pretty much.
Yep.
Okay. And their budget's a whole different thing. That's their own program with their own revenue and their own expenses as far as like salaries and all that. We haven't got any input on that.
No, that is correct.
Although we do still do repairs, but that's a whole different item.
Correct.
Like working on the ceiling or on the elevator, that stuff.
Yes, we still maintain ownership and responsibility for the building.
Where does that come in at in the budget?
Facilities maintenance,
There you go.
O&M.
Oh, okay, that makes sense, okay. All right,
Property
thanks.
committee.
That's all I have.
Any member have any other questions? All right, we are voting on item 4F1E. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4F1F. Request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the general fund 0001, Bloomington Election Commission Department 0048, City Elections Program 0053. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Rogel, second by member Roseman Mendoza. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. So the City of Bloomington Election Commission, under Illinois statute, was allowed to exist and to form the election commission. during the 34th General Assembly of the State of Illinois, which commenced on January 7th of 1885 and adjourned June 26th of 1885, a section of the election law enacted and or amended on June 19th defined the procedures by which any city, village, or incorporated town could create a Board of Election Commissioners. The Board of Election Commissioners for Bloomington, Illinois was established in November of 1914 and celebrated its 100th anniversary in November of 2014. Its overall budget is a 12% increase from FY 2023. So their total budget request for us was $768,007. The increase is related to the EAV increase, and so the commission incurred increased expenses from their new location of their offices. They are now renting a space just on the other side of the wall of this building. And so I believe they have a 5-year lease, and so again, this is similar to the museum. We levy for them and they set up their budget as they see appropriate.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1F. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4F1G. Can we combine G1 and G2?
We can.
Okay. Request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended, no objections combining that, I assume, I guess I should, all right. Recommended budget for the general fund 0001, assessment office department 0049, including G1, property assess, review supervised program 0054, and G2, Board of Review Program 0055. Can I have a motion to approve? A motion by member Rogel, a second by member Soldner. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. The supervisor of assessment, as you can see by the pie chart there, 76% of their budget is for salaries, 14% for supplies, and 10% for services. Overall, their budget decreased by 1%. You don't see that often. Advertising and legal notices decreased by 62% for this year due to only having to publish parcels that had assessment changes. So the year we are in right now is the quad year where all of the parcels get sent notice. But next year there was a reduction in that need. And so it was reflected in their budget. The Assessment Board of Review had no change in their budget in that fund. So other items of note, there's a $40,000 transfer fee that is collected by the county clerk recorder's office, and that is for GIS services in the assessor's office. And then they had a slight increase in their food line, and that is for in-house meetings and trainings that they'll be conducting this year.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1G. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time. Hi, Connie.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 4F1H. Can we combine H1 to H4?
We can.
Any objection? Okay. Item 4F1H, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the County Clerk Department 0005, including H1, General Fund 0001, Elections Program 0006, Records Program 0007, and Legal Records Department 0008, and H2, Recorder Document Storage Fund 0137, Legal Records Documentation Program 0008, and H3, County Clerk Document Storage Fund 0164, Records Program 0007, and H4, GIS Fees Fund 0167, and Legal Records Documentation Program 0008. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Soldner, County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman. The county clerk's office offers services to our community for vital records, elections, property tax extension, business services, and reporting. For budget overview for elections, records, and legal records documentation combined, 50% of that budget, those budgets are for salaries, 8% for supplies, and 34% for services.
Will you back that up for a minute?
Sure.
What's the dark green pie?
The dark green would be the 800 line, so that would be capital expenses. That's most likely her election equipment.
Okay, I was just curious, I only saw 3 little squares there and you had.
Yeah,
Yes,
we missed that in our.
What are you trying to sneak by us there? I mean,
Oops, wrong way. There we are. So for elections, which is 0001, 0005, 0006, revenues increased by 56% due to an election security grant that was received and included in this budget. There was also increase in reimbursements for the election judges that I believe Clerk Michael brought to you last month. Overall expenses increased by 136%, and that is due to increased election expenses with the presidential election in 2024. We budgeted for $175,000 in additional purchase for election equipment, and that included 25 iPads and accessories and 40 additional voting machines and accessories.
Can I ask something as we're going? So
Sure.
these aren't like replacing some, these are additional ones because you're gonna have new polling places or whatever.
Well, we feel this is gonna be an unprecedented turnout, and we felt it was necessary to add to that.
Okay, that's great. I just, I wasn't sure whether you were replacing some or whatever, so. All right, thanks.
And I didn't include this in the slide, but all supply lines were increased, and you'll see it in the budget lines. And that is to reflect needs for early voting, for voting by mail, and for the larger presidential election. In the county clerk records line 0001, 0005, 0007, the overall revenue increased by 7%. That was due to the fee increases that were previously approved by this board. Overall expenses decreased by 11%. So in the salary line for this department, you'll see a decreased salary line. That employee was incorrectly in the wrong sub-department, so that was corrected in this budget. And so the salary lines increased in elections and decreased in this sub-department. For county clerk legal records, overall revenues decreased by 26%. That was based on trends, and we corrected for that. Overall expenses increased by 10%, and that was largely based on salaries and health insurance costs. The county clerk legal records, special fund 0137, 0005, 0008. That budget increased 50% due to fee increases approved earlier in the year, and they continue to budget for digitization projects. So the digitization projects are budgeted in the non-contractual line there. And then contract services is their contract with their software company. I believe it's still COD that you're using for that. For document storage, the special fund, 0164-0005-0007. That budget supports a half-time deputy county clerk, and then that budget increased by 16%. Increase in revenue trends allowed for that increase from fees. And then county clerk GIS fees, which is fund 0167-0005-0008, that budget decreased by 18%. GIS document fee revenue decreased by 18%. And so that transferred to a decrease in the expenses, including transfers to IT, the assessor's office and related GIS services. So the $165,000 that is transferred to other funds, $120,000 goes to the GIS division of our IT department, $40,000 goes to the assessor, and $5,000 goes to IT itself for support. And that's it. Unless you have questions.
Does any member have any questions? Member Rogal?
Again, these are mostly just clarifications, so, the 147% increase for under the, assumed name fee, is that the fees that we approved earlier this year? Changes?
So the assumed name fees was a fee increase. I think it went from $8 to $19.
Okay.
So
that
yes,
makes-
that's a fee increase.
That would be what it was, okay. And then, I think most of these were actually already answered. There's a 370% increase in dues and membership. 715.001.
IACO? For staff to go to,
Only reason that would have increased that much is that we plan on going to even more and more, as well as their fees might have increased to join. It wouldn't have been that high.
Okay.
But due to, not to go into too much detail, but cybersecurity and everything, we're getting at least once a week updates, unfortunately. And a lot more things for us we feel we need to attend that are very important for all of us.
the dollar amount was not that much, but it's a big
Yeah, it's just
percentage
the
increase.
percentage.
Going from 100 to 470, so yes.
Yeah.
And then, so the clerk's salary is broken up, it looks like, between different,
Funds.
in 2020, why is it, I guess, is it the 2023 actual amount is low because we're not through the year yet?
Correct.
Okay. That's all the clarification I was looking for.
She identified some other questions. I think I did answer all of them. There was a question about mailing or being able to email or send it through different methods, but the county clerk and her staff reminded us that they must mail the voter cards every 2 years, and so that is a mailing that has to go out. But I think we answered everything else.
Yeah, that one I knew the answer to, so I didn't have to ask.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on items 4F, 1H, H1 through H4. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
All right, next item on the agenda is item 4F1I, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the Cooperative Extension Fund 0133, Cooperative Extension Fund, Cooperative Extension Department 0088, Cooperative Extension Program 0088. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Rogal, second by member Roseman Mendoza. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you. So the University of Illinois Extension Service is funded in part through our general property tax revenue. The Cooperative Extension Council voted to approve a request for a property tax levy in the amount of $150,000 for FY24. And expenditures in this fund are then distributed for payment to the Cooperative Extension Service, once those property tax funds are left. That's it.
Any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1I. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 4F1J. Combine those two, all right. Any objection combining J1, J2? All right. Request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the General Fund 0001, Animal Control Department 0032, including J1, Animal Control Program 0065, and J2, Municipal Warden Program 0066. And can I have a motion to approve? Motion by member Soldner, second by member Roseman Mendoza. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you, Chair Erickson. The animal control program through McLean County is designed to promote and protect the public and animal safety in a variety of ways, including prevention and control of rabies through rabies vaccination and registration and bite investigations, the enforcement of county and state animal control and welfare laws, in certain circumstances, the collection of stray animals, collections of bats within a home, adoption of eligible animals to responsible homes, and promoting responsible pet ownership through education and community outreach. So the total pie chart of the budget here shows that salaries are 61% of her overall budget. Services are 28%, supplies are 10%. Fringe benefits, it looks like, are 1%, and the large capital assets project that we have going on for this building is included through the PVC and won't be found here. The animal control shelter program, overall revenues stayed the same for this program, no change in animal disposal or municipal contracts. Expenses increased by 13%, salaries increased as a result of the salary study, and then we did also convert a part-time seasonal occasional warden to a full-time warden in this budget for 2024. For the animal control warden program, revenues stayed the same. For these municipal contracts and animal reclamation fees, expenses went up 8% for this fund due to increases again for salaries and for health insurance.
Member Soldner.
So capital assets 832.001. We're not budgeting anything, but so for the new building or whatever, would that be next year's budget, or is that also in the PBC as far as new tables or chairs or carpet or any of that stuff?
Yes, so the PBC manages the building of the new building, and once that building is erected, we will be looking in 2025 budget for any other furnishings that can't be brought over from our existing facility. And so
Okay.
there will be a need for some desks and furnishings to outfit the new facility. And so we anticipate that in our 2025 budget.
Perfect, thank you.
One, under contributions, we have budgeted $185,000, yet we've only received, it looks like, $4,154.
It's been deposited, it just hasn't reflected into
The whole
Today's-
185?
I think, within 5,000, we'll still be spending that.
Can
This-
you explain very quickly to those new to the committee what the Mensa Fund is?
So the Minson Fund is, donations made from the, their last name was Minson, and they agreed to $180,000 per year for us to be reimbursed for our medical reimbursements for adoptable animals. So we, have a process in place, we get the animals medically serviced, and then we track what's been done, and then remit that back to them, and then they reimburse that to us. And so,
That makes sense.
yeah, we generally get that in 1 or 2 checks a year, and we have received it, it has been deposited, just recently received it, so it wouldn't reflect in the
Logos recording. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, we are voting on item 4F1J, J1, and J2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
Next item on the agenda is item 4F1K. Combine K1 and K2.
Yes,
Any
please.
objection? K, request approval of fiscal year 2024 recommended budget for the Tort Judgment Fund 0135, Tort Judgment Department 0077, including K1, Risk Management Insurance Program 0077, and K2, Risk Management Civil Program 0078. And can I have a motion to approve? A motion by member Rogel, second by member Roseman Mendoza. County Administrator Taylor.
Thank you. So the Tort Judgment Fund, I think we have judgment spelled wrong there, I apologize for that. There was a, in the risk management insurance lines, for 13500770077, we had an 11% increase to expenses, increase to salaries due to additional recruiting and training specialist. We had a contract services line increase for a contractual risk management person and a human resource analyst consultant that will be used to analyze our HR policies. They won't be a employee of the county. We had a 23% increase to our general liability insurance premiums, but also had a 24% decrease to our general liability claims. For on the civil side, for 0077, 0078, that provides our salaries for our 2 civil division staff through the state's attorney's office, 2.3 FTEs, and there was a slight increase in this budget from 2023 in the amount of 3%.
Does any member have any questions? All right, seeing none, did you have any questions? Did Ms. Lehman have any questions on that one?
Not for that one
Okay,
that I see.
all right,
Me either.
all right. We are voting on item 4F1K, K1 through K2. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item 4F1I. Request approval of settlement agreement in case 22-CB-1062. I believe we'll have to go into closed session. You wanted to discuss it, didn't you?
Well, the committee provided settlement authority at last month's meeting. I know member Soldner was not here at that point. So if the committee would like me to go into closed session, I can explain the basics, or you have the document of the settlement agreement which reflects the authority that was provided at that last meeting.
Would any member like to go into closed session?
As far as I'm concerned.
I guess not. All right, well, we're voting on that, right? Then item 4F1I, is that what we're voting on? Or L, H-I-J-K-L, yeah, L. Gotta get my alphabet right here. All right, we will be voting on item,
I need a motion, please.
oh yeah, all right, can I have a motion to approve item 4F1L? Motion by member Roseman Mendoza, second by member Soldner. All right, we're voting on item 4F1L. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is item for information. County Administrator
I
Taylor,
have no other items to present this evening, thank you.
anybody have anything they'd like to say? Member Soldner?
I just have a question. What purview does the 911 telephone service come under? As far as which group, which committee will it go to?
So Metcom falls under the Justice Committee, and that was heard last night. ETSB is not under the purview of the county. We manage their funds through our established relationship with them.
So is there budget in our packet?
It would be in the, it's in the budget book,
Right.
but we do not approve that. They have their own board that approves that.
The only reason I'm asking, when we got the treasurer's report, there's $7 million in that account, and I don't know if that's a lot of money or not a lot of money. To me, it sounds like a lot of money, but I was just curious, what that was. And that $7 million, is that part of our balance, fund balance or whatever? I mean, let's say there's $5 million surplus, is that part of our unencumbered fund balance?
That is a special fund, so that would not be included in our general fund unencumbered, no.
Okay, alright, that's all I have.
All right, 5, other business and communication. Our next meeting is on Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Anything else? We are adjourned, thank you.
Thank you, guys.